After helping wealthy people for 20 years, I noticed something surprising. The ones who talk the least about money are often the ones who have the most. Have you ever thought about why that is? Imagine the quiet millionaire who lives down the street, the successful business owner who still drives an old pickup truck, the retired person with a big savings account who still lives in the house they bought long ago. They aren't just trying to be humble, they're being smart. Becoming rich can change your life, but talking about it can ruin everything you worked so hard to create. Here's something many financial experts won't tell you. When the money finally arrives, it doesn't only bring safety, it also brings pressure. People who want something from you and heavy expectations. What you once believed would bring you freedom can suddenly feel like a trap. I've seen this happen again and again. Hardworking people spend 30 years saving and building their future, only to watch it fall apart in just a few months. And often it's because they made one big mistake. They told too many people. Today, I'm going to share 8 serious reasons why staying quiet about your money might be the smartest choice you ever make. Not just to protect your privacy, but to protect your peace, your safety, and even your relationships. Look around you. Notice how the truly wealthy person at your local club seems calm and happy, while the one flashing an expensive watch always looks nervous and tense. That's not just by chance. One of them understands something the other doesn't. Before we start, take a moment to say to yourself, I choose calm over show. That small shift in thinking might be the very first step toward real freedom with your money. Now let's begin with the first reason why being quiet might be your strongest money decision. Reason 1, you become a target. When you gain wealth, your world changes. But if you let everyone know about it, you may regret it. Once people find out you have money, you don't just enjoy comfort, you also become a target. And it's not just about thieves. You may face tricky legal threats, sneaky scams, or people who suddenly need help all the time. These things can come out of nowhere, and they can make you feel unsafe, overwhelmed, and alone. All of a sudden, what you worked so hard to build for many years can begin to attract unwanted attention. Imagine professional football players whose homes were broken into while they were away playing games. These break-ins didn't happen by accident. The thieves knew where to look, what to take, and exactly when the house would be empty. As one agent from the FBI explained, these people are not picking their targets randomly. They are choosing people with wealth because it's easier than ever to find out who has money, where they live, and what they own. Quiet wealth is safer wealth. It's no surprise that people like Warren Buffett still drive simple cars and live in regular houses. They understand that every picture of something expensive, every public display of riches, is like giving strangers a map to where your treasures are hidden. Every time you post something online, check in at a luxury place, or share a story about something expensive, you give away small pieces of your safety. Even those close to you, the friendly neighbor, the nice co-worker, might notice more than you think. A small comment about your new car or a big purchase can travel fast, and people you barely know might begin to pay extra attention. Some may even try to find out exactly when you are not home. The best way to stay safe is not always by building tall fences or buying the latest alarm system. Often, it is by staying quiet. Ask yourself, is posting a picture of that new car really worth it? Do you really need to mention that your investment did well? That moment of attention might feel good, but it can also lead to risks that are hard to take back. People who grow their money wisely know that staying silent is not about being afraid. It's about being thoughtful. And here's something strange but true. The more carefully you guard your money, the more it often grows. When no one is watching your every move, you can think more clearly and choose what's right for you without feeling pressure. But even if you stay safe from people who might try to take what you have, there's still another problem you need to be aware of. Reason 2, you might attract false friends. The second hard truth about showing your wealth is this: it changes how people see you. And not always in a good way. A friend who hasn't spoken to you in years suddenly wants to catch up. A cousin you barely know sends you a friendly message out of nowhere just to see how you're doing. But hidden behind those warm greetings, there's often a quiet question: can they help me with something? Once your money becomes easy to see, your relationships can become confusing. You may start to wonder if that new friend truly likes you, or if they just like what you seem to have. This can happen with friends, family members, and even people you date. The hardest part? Sometimes you won't be able to tell who's being honest and who isn't. And that can make your world feel a lot more lonely, even when you're surrounded by people. Let me tell you about Tom, a computer expert who created a company and later sold it for a very large amount of money. Before that, he dated now and then, with some good experiences and some not so great. But after the sale became public, everything changed. Suddenly, many people were interested in him. He was no longer just a regular guy. People started seeing him as someone to marry. One woman even told him later that she had searched for his financial details online before deciding to see him again. "Mona," he said, "I felt more like a business deal than a real person." These kinds of relationships that are drawn to wealth often arrive with kind words, lots of attention, and big promises. They can blend into your life smoothly, changing their behavior to match what they think you want. But deep down, they are watching for chances to benefit from what you have. And when you stop spending or when you say no, they may leave just as quickly as they came. This kind of experience can hurt deeply. It makes you feel unsure of everyone. You begin to wonder if anyone really likes you for you. You might ask yourself, is my brother asking me for advice because he believes in me, or because he wants to connect with my business friends? Or is my friend inviting me to dinner because they enjoy spending time with me, or because they think I'll pay the bill? That's why people who have had money for a long time often stay close only to friends they knew before they became rich. They've learned something very important. When people can see your wealth, it becomes hard to know if someone is with you for your personality or for what you own. And that kind of confusion can bring a sadness that even a big bank account can't fix. But problems with relationships are just the beginning. There's another threat waiting, one that hits your wallet fast when others learn how much you have. Reason 3, you lose the power to bargain. This is something many rich people find out the hard way. As soon as others find out about your money, you lose the quiet advantage that comes with being seen as an ordinary person. Suddenly, everything starts to cost more. This can happen with service workers, business deals, or even when dealing with local offices. Let's say you call a plumber for a simple job. He shows up, sees your fancy car parked outside, notices your shiny kitchen, and just like that, the $200 repair becomes a $500 special job. The same work that your neighbor pays far less for ends up costing you more. Not because it's harder, but because you look like you can pay extra. This quiet kind of money cost doesn't stop with fixing things around the house. It reaches into car lots, home repairs, and even insurance quotes. Many people raise their prices when they think someone has a lot of money. A banker I know told me he keeps simple clothes just for meetings where he has to make big purchases. "I leave the fancy watch at home and take the old truck," he said. "What they offer me at the start changes by thousands." In business, showing signs of wealth can hurt just as much. The other person sees your success and assumes you can give more, even if that's not true. Your power in the conversation fades before the real talk begins. I've seen deals worth millions fall apart just because someone couldn't resist quietly showing off, and it made them seem less careful, less fair. Even when dealing with public offices, things can shift. Tax workers look more closely at people who look rich. Towns often raise property values when a home has visible upgrades. The whole system seems built to take more from those who appear to have more. Think about the people who stay wealthy for a long time. They rarely talk about money. Warren Buffett doesn't flash his fortune when buying companies. He's known for staying calm and humble. That makes others feel safe, which helps him get better deals. When you let everyone see how much you have, it's like playing a card game with your hand turned over. In the game of money, that's a sure way to lose. But it's not just your wallet that feels the damage. It's also your heart. And the hardest part, it often starts with the people you care about the most. Reason 4, you stir up jealousy, even in kind people. This next reason is tough to admit, but it's very real. Not everyone will feel happy when you succeed, not even those who like you. Childhood friends, co-workers, even family members might feel a quiet kind of sadness or jealousy. It's not always mean, it's just human. Someone sees your new life and wonders, why not me? That's when small comments begin to appear. They might sound like jokes. Must be nice, or some of us still have to work. But over time, they hurt. One man named James, who opened a successful gym business, told me that his group of college friends started treating him differently after things took off. They made little remarks, even though he was working long, tiring weeks. In the end, he stopped talking about his work at all. "I just wanted my friends back," he said. "Soon you start watching your words. You begin to feel bad about things you should be proud of. Regular conversations become hard because you're always avoiding topics that might make someone compare. Success, which should bring joy, begins to feel heavy, all because others can see it. This happens all the time, especially when people show off their progress. A nicer car, a bigger house, a fancy trip. It doesn't matter how hard they worked. What matters is how it makes others feel. That's why people who win the lottery often lose their friends, not only because of money requests, but because relationships quietly shift and sometimes fall apart. And the saddest part? You don't always realize these friendships are fading until they're gone. That's why people who truly understand wealth know that keeping things quiet isn't just about safety. It's about protecting the friendships and love that money can't replace. But if friendship troubles aren't enough to worry about, just wait. There's another change that happens when people start to see you as their money solution. Reason 5. You turn into everyone's wallet. This 5th reason might save you from feeling emotionally drained. Once people believe you have extra money, they may stop seeing you and start seeing what you can give. And the tricky part, you won't always notice it happening. First, it's a small ask. "Hey, I'm having a tough month. Could you help just this once?" Then comes the emotional story. Maybe someone shares a big dream or a problem they say only you can fix. They might call it a once-in-a-lifetime chance or an emergency that just can't wait. Little by little, you begin to feel like a bank instead of a person. And once that begins, it's hard to stop. When you have a kind heart, and many people who succeed in life do, you might start saying yes more often than you really want to. And when the day finally comes that you say no, suddenly you're seen as the bad one in someone else's story. That hurts. The hard truth is this: when people begin to think of you as a provider, they forget that you also have your own limits. What once felt like a great financial win slowly turns into a race of never-ending needs. That doesn't just take a toll on your bank account, it drains your heart too. I've seen families break apart, friends stop talking, and brothers and sisters turn away from each other. Not because they stopped caring, but because money got in the way and turned their closeness into confusion. Think of Jack Whittaker, a man who won over $300 million in the lottery. He gave freely, helping churches, family, friends, even strangers. But in a few years, his life fell apart. His granddaughter passed away from drugs. His marriage ended. He faced serious legal problems. Near the end of his life, nearly out of money, he said something heartbreaking. "I wish I had ripped that ticket up." He had too much wealth, too much attention, and not enough boundaries. That mix has quietly broken more lives than we can count. The truth is simple but tough. You can support others, but only if you care for your own well-being, both your finances and your feelings, first. Sometimes saying no is actually the most loving thing you can do. But that becomes very hard when everyone knows you can say yes. Staying quiet about what you have isn't being selfish. It's giving yourself the room to help others from a strong place, not from pressure. But there's another trap waiting for those who make their success too visible, the tiring need to look wealthy, even when you no longer feel like it. Reason 6. You get caught in the appearance trap. This danger is sneaky. You might not notice it at first, but it grows quickly. When you show that you have money, you begin to feel like you must always look like you have it. And that pressure isn't light. Let's say you buy a fancy car. Now, people expect you to always drive cars like that. You move into a huge house. Suddenly, you need a cleaner, a gardener, someone to care for the pool, and furniture that looks just as expensive. Every visible choice becomes a quiet promise, a lifestyle you now feel stuck with. People create an image of who you are, and you feel like you have to keep it going. Even a simple dinner out becomes something you need to plan carefully. You can't just go anywhere anymore. Others expect more, so you begin to live a role instead of a real life. The image takes over, deciding where you go, what you wear, how you speak. Mike, a technology leader who made millions in his 30s, shared something honest. "I have a big house I don't even enjoy, cars I barely drive, and memberships to places I don't care about, all because it's what people think I should do. I'm scared to live smaller because they'll think I failed." And that fear, it spreads into bigger choices. Can you skip a project to rest without people thinking you're in trouble? Can you sell your house and move somewhere quieter without it looking like you're broke? You build a prison of what others expect, and your freedom slowly becomes a performance. What was supposed to be financial freedom turns into financial acting. And that kind of acting is expensive, not just in money, but also in peace and joy. The world often respects people who stay humble about what they have. Many who keep spending to impress are trying to hide an emptiness inside. And that's the painful twist. Some people try to show they are free by showing off, but end up stuck in the image they created. Meanwhile, people who understand the true value of money often live with less than they can afford. They aren't weighed down by what others think. They know that real freedom isn't about what you can buy. It's about living your own way, with honesty and peace. And maybe the biggest danger of showing off success, it changes how you see what really matters inside. Reason 7. You lose sight of what's truly important. The 7th reason to keep your wealth quiet isn't about what other people think. It's about how you feel inside. When you focus too much on showing off your success, caring only about how things look, the fancy things you have, or how you compare to others, it's easy to forget the real reasons you wanted money freedom to begin with. Was it so you could have real freedom, peace of mind, more time to be with your family? These important goals can slowly slip away when you care more about seeming to live well than actually living well. What takes their place? Worry, rushing, and feeling distant from what matters. The non-stop need to prove your lifestyle leaves almost no space for truly enjoying life. The richest people I know aren't the ones with the most expensive stuff. They are the ones who have time to enjoy simple moments without needing anyone to watch. Real happiness comes from quiet mornings with a cup of coffee and a book, family dinners without phones, weekends with no plans, and deep talks with old friends. None of these things need you to show off what you own, yet these are the things most people wish they had valued more when they get older. Robert, who started and sold 3 businesses, told me his biggest wake-up moment came after a heart attack at 48. He said, "I had the yacht, the vacation homes, everything, but I hadn't had dinner with my kids in months. I was chasing the next deal, the next fancy thing. Lying in the hospital made me see I was working toward the wrong goals." This is the danger of showing off. It can distract you, leaving you empty inside. You might have lots of money but feel emotionally empty. Trying to get others to admire you creates a hunger that money and displays can never fill. It's like trying to pour water into a bucket with a hole in it. If showing off makes you forget what truly matters, maybe staying quiet about your wealth is the best reminder you can give yourself. At the end of the day, the quality of your life isn't about what you own, but about what owns your attention. There's one last very important cost to showing your money. Reason 8. You lose your peace of mind. This final reason might seem small, but it matters deeply. When you show your wealth, you give up your peace, because visible money comes with hidden demands. People expect you to pay for things. They expect you to always have the answers. They expect you to never fail or say no. That weight presses down on you. Every new car, house, or sign of success isn't just a thing you buy. It's pressure you carry. And then, when you want to rest, you can't. When you want to take a break, you can't. When you try to say, "I can't afford it," whether in money, time, or feelings, it's too late. You've set a rule for yourself. David, a restaurant owner, told me how showing his success brought constant judgment, especially when the pandemic forced him to close places. People who saw his big house or fancy car didn't understand why he was worried. They thought he was exaggerating. Because they assumed he was always okay, he didn't get help when he truly needed it. Showing off your wealth means you have to watch yourself all the time. And watching yourself all the time steals your peace. But wasn't peace of mind exactly what you wanted when you started chasing financial freedom? If you can't sleep peacefully, what good is anything else? Remember why you wanted money. Was it to impress people you don't even know? Or was it to create safety, freedom, and happiness for yourself and those you love? When showing off becomes your goal, these original dreams get lost. Money can buy comfort, but keeping quiet about it protects your soul. That's why the truly rich often live quietly, spending less than they could and staying out of the spotlight. They know that real wealth isn't about what you can show. It's about what you can keep private. In a world that always wants people to show off, being discreet might be your most valuable treasure. After all, what's the point of having everything if you can't enjoy it peacefully? Which of these 8 reasons do you feel most deeply? Which one will you use to protect your own journey with money? Write a comment below with a score from 1 to 10 and tell me which idea you want to try first. I read every comment and love hearing how you are growing with your money.